Welcome back to another episode of The Supernaturals. We're your hosts, Cal and Jake.
Again, huh?
Again. It just doesn't feel right.
It doesn't roll off the tongue.
It doesn't. But you know what? Alphabetically, it's correct. So welcome back, guys. Glad to have you back for another episode. This one's going to be pretty cool. Yes. Pretty mystical.
Hope you guys are having a good day. Nice October morning, evening, wherever you're listening to us.
The weather's cool.
And if you somehow listen to this episode in the middle of next summer, as in the summer of 2026, then I hope that you have a nice warm day.
We have Soul in the studio again. He loves being in here, but he also doesn't like to sit and just chill.
He likes to sit on Jake. That's what he likes
I know,
to
he's
do.
Like wanting to be in this chair.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure if you hyped him up enough, he'd try to get up there too.
Probably.
So yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a good episode because we like to mix things up. We have movie deep dives, we have true crime, we have unsolved mysteries. And what's cool is that sometimes we do mythical creatures.
That we do. And
sometimes those myths bleed into reality. Wasn't that crazy?
I suppose.
Did that give you guys chills?
Goosebumps.
Anyway. Yeah, so I mean, we can dive into it. Yeah. Are you good? You have any news, anything you want to talk about, or
in terms of just life?
Well, just the pod, maybe. I don't know. Any big things that, people might have missed or can go check out or anything like that?
Our 50th episode.
Yeah, that's
true. If you missed that was last week. Mm-hmm. That was exciting.
Mm-hmm. So that's fun.
That episode was cool. It didn't go as planned like we had wanted, but, we made it work to what we could and the tools we had at the time.
And, that's a really good life lesson.
It is.
It really is. You might think that, your life is going to go one way and it goes a completely different way.
You just get thrown a curveball.
You have to learn how to
hit it.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, you got to hit those curveballs because life throws them at you all the time.
Exactly.
And I think we handled it pretty well. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't the best situation, but also it was our 50th episode. Yeah. That's a good milestone.
Yeah. And I liked the story. It was cool to dive into more historical than horror, I guess. Like, you find like the real thing. Like, okay, look, we talk about supernatural stuff, but it's like there are some horrifying things that happen. Like history is terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of times we take these like historical events and we don't really think of them as spooky. I mean, I'm sure, Salem, it definitely does because
the town's spooky.
The town's spooky, yeah, because of this. But it was just cool to kind of talk about historical stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
In a way. So
witches.
Yeah. Cool beans. Anyway, also, I heard that the new Assassin's Creed game coming out is in Europe during those witch trials over there.
Oh, really?
So I don't know how they're going to do that, but that's pretty sick. Where's all my AC fans at? I'm excited. You guys excited? I am. All right, let's dive into this. So on this podcast, we've talked about plenty of mythical creatures, as I said before. From those rooted in folklore like the Dullahan of Irish legend and Skinwalker. Yep. Throws me off my game every time Jake throws some shit in there. And Skinwalkers of Navajo legend, all the way to the internet legends of Slenderman and Jeff the Killer. But today, we find ourselves discussing something rooted in not only myth, but up until recently, factual. Whoa.
Mm.
Now it's not anymore, but it was for a while, so it's pretty cool. We are talking about the Wendigo.
Dun, dun, dun.
So what exactly is a Wendigo?
Why don't you tell us, Cal? And let the audience know it for those that don't.
Well, for starters, let's look at the origins of the beast. Who exactly started the legend, and why does it sound eerily similar to some of the other things that we've talked about on this podcast?
AKA a skinwalker.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, our first little chapter here. The Algonquin people For starters, the Algonquin people are the most widespread and populous of all the Native American people. And while their homeland is not and has not ever been completely cemented, it is known that their people have resided everywhere from the Great Lakes to what is now Ontario and Canada to even what is now New York. Due to the widespread nature of the people, the Algonquins branched off into multiple tribes. Each grew their own cultures, although similar to each other. Before the Europeans arrived, the Algonquin people lived off of corn, squash, and beans. Those three items of food are known as the Three Sisters in various North American cultures. Their vital nutrients helped the people in spreading their population. Now that we've explored a little bit of the background on the Algonquins, let's dive into the myth of the Wendigo. The Wendigo. That's the next chapter.
Like we're reading a book.
The legend of the Wendigo was mainly agreed upon by 5 different Algonquin tribes. This is going to be tough. The Saulteaux, the Cree, the Ojibwe, Naskapi, and Innu. I feel like I killed that shit, but we'll see.
And if not, close enough.
Somebody's going to tell me, I'm sure. And while the legend seems slightly different in each tribe, the overall basics of the creature remained the same.
You pronounce that weird. Proceed.
In fact, all legends said that the creature was a malevolent spirit that often fed on human life. Those aren't the only things shared between tribal legends. The creature was also paired with certain aspects between cultures. For example, it only resides in the north. It hunts during the winter. It is said that during times of famine and starvation that the creature is responsible. So you may be asking yourself, but Cal, what exactly is a Wendigo?
I was thinking that. God, it's like you read my mind.
Sorry. And I could tell you, or I could let one Basil H. Johnson, an Ojibwe teacher from Ontario, tell you. No, he's not actually here, sadly. I know that would be next level if he just started talking all of a sudden, but no. Instead, I found a quote from Basil describing the Wendigo in the best way possible. The quote is as follows. The Wendigo was gaunt to the point of emaciation. It's... I don't even... How the... Its disseated skin pulled tightly over its bones. With its bones pushing out against its skin, its complexion the ash gray of death, and its eyes pushed back deep into their sockets, the Wendigo looked like a gaunt skeleton recently disinterred from the grave. What lips it had were tattered and bloody, unclean and suffering from suppuration of the flesh. The Wendigo gave off a strange and eerie odor of decay and decomposition, of death and corruption. Yeah, pretty spooky.
It's like a zombie mixed with a meth head.
Yeah, that's actually a good way to put it.
Kind of.
Uh-huh. Sorry, sip time.
Quite a fascinating and very visually descriptive.
Yeah, there were like
detail
3
about
words
that,
I couldn't pronounce, but yeah, it's it.
Yeah.
However, the Wendigo was a different type of creature for the Ojibwe people. Their legend says that the creature resembles a giant. It begins as a small and regular-sized human, but then, with each human being it devours, it doubles in size. But the issue is that eventually it thins out and must continue to feed. That is why drawings of the Wendigo, it is more often than not extremely thin.
Interesting. You know, it's kind of funny as when you described that and describing how it feeds and gets double in size. Mm-hmm. I just think of the game agar.io. You ever play that where you're like a little dot and you just eat other dots and just gain like size? Snake? Kinda. But it's it was just like this computer game back in high school that we used to play, and you just double in size every time you eat a smaller dot and just gain bigger and bigger. And then eventually someone else will eat you and you start over. little different fish. That's true. That's true. It just kind of reminds me of like that. Or if you ever played, there was like this hunting game where you were a beast and you would just feed on other things trying to get bigger and bigger while you're being hunted.
Really?
Yeah. It just kind of reminds me of that, like that way of like lifestyle of the beast.
Yeah. It's interesting how it thins out again though.
Yeah. That is kind of weird. Like
and then it
just like hibernates.
Well, I think it digests. That was the whole thing. So,
or like sheds skin like a snake.
The legend actually, creates a metaphor for gluttony and excess. The being is never satisfied as it continues to eat and eat for the rest of its days. Mind you, these things are eating people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, I could keep going on about the legend, but again, what's better than the actual source? So here, I'm going to be reading a short folk story that was gathered in the early 20th century by an ethnographer of an Ojibwe location in Ontario.
Some big words out here.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to butcher his full name, but his shortened name is Lottie Marsden.
Lottie.
The story is as follows. Now, this is like an actual story, so like lock in. Ready? One time long ago, a big Wendigo stole an Indian boy, but the boy was too thin, so the Wendigo didn't eat him up right away. But he traveled with the Indian boy, waiting for him till he'd get fat. The Wendigo had a knife, and he'd cut the boy on the hand to see if he was fat enough to eat, but the boy didn't get fat. They traveled too much. One day, they came to an Indian village, and the Wendigo sent the boy to the Indian village to get some things for him to eat. He just gave the boy so much time to go there and back, the boy told the Indians that the Wendigo was near them, and showed them his hand where the Wendigo cut him to see if he was fat enough to eat. They heard the Wendigo calling to the boy. He said to the boy, "Hurry up. Don't tell lies to those Indians." All these Indians went to where the Wendigo was and cut off his legs. They went back again to see if he was dead. He wasn't dead. He was eating the juice, marrow, from the inside of the bones of his legs that were cut off. The Indians asked the Wendigo if there was any fat on them. He said, "You bet there is. I have eaten lots of Indians. No wonder they are fat." The Indians then killed him and cut him to pieces. This was the end of the giant Wendigo.
Interesting. It sounds like a just like in the tribe like era that'd just be a ghost or like horror story that you would tell the kids around the fire or something, you know? Yeah. It just seems kind of ridiculous.
I think it also points to the fact though that like a Wendigo is going to eat itself if it has to, right? Like if it's just the whole point of a Wendigo is that it's hungry. Mm-hmm. It wants to eat, you know? It's creepy.
It's like
also describing
the Raka Raka film that just came out not too long ago.
Which one? Bring Her Back?
Yeah, Bring Her Back. They bring that angel back and it always wants to eat. It's just wants to feed.
Forgot, like it eats the table and shit.
It eats the knife. That shit's crazy. So it's just like always hungry, right?
God, what a good movie. Yeah. True. I also think describing bone marrow as juice was disgusting. Yeah. But like rad as fuck.
It's quite wild though that it would talk to these Indians and then all of a sudden they're just like, yeah, we killed it.
Yeah.
Game over.
Just chopped it up.
Yeah.
So obviously Wendigos are freaky creatures. So you may be asking how one becomes a Wendigo. Are they from another world? Are they human? Well, they were human, but apparently
they like banished and cast into this form to live in damnation for eternity.
Yeah. Sorry, let me move my fucking leg. Sorry. Trying to get comfy here, guys. It's story time.
Eventually, we'll get some new seats.
I know.
New studio. But for now, we manage.
Sorry, guys. I'm going to go other leg again. Anyway.
Am I close? Am I close?
Are you close? Oh, I'm sorry. Repeat that. What did you say?
basically said they were like cast as an evil creature to be like roaming, I'd say, the earth for damnation and in eternity.
You think
something
it's like a curse?
I don't know. Yeah,
I think it's a curse.
Yeah. Someone put that on them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you said they were once humans. They got to be transformed into this beast somehow.
So they were human.
More like zombified.
Apparently, Wendigos are humans that resort to cannibalism, and after long, they slowly become a Wendigo. So I think
Jeffrey Dahmer.
The general rule of thumb is just don't eat people.
Yeah. So if you eat people, you're destined to become a Wendigo.
Pretty much, yeah. So how exactly would one get rid of a Wendigo? Jake, what would you do?
Well,
any ideas?
I don't know. Maybe don't eat people, but
how would you get rid of one if that one existed?
You kill it. Just like the folk legend.
Jake chose violence.
Well, all right. My one question that I'm kind of pondering here is,
go ahead, ponder.
If they were factual at one point,
yep,
there's cannibals all over the place that have eaten people in terms of serial killers.
Yep.
They didn't turn into Wendigos.
I will explain to you how it's factual here in a bit, but it is not like they just took this, like a Wendigo existing is like an actual fact. It's something else.
All right.
So we'll get that. That's towards the end of the story, but yes, it is a thing, which is quite strange.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's a couple, I think one or two more short stories I got in here. I don't know. I wrote this a while back.
What was your question again?
What would you do to stop a Wendigo? And you said you'd fucking mob it.
Something along those lines. Yeah. Yeah.
I just imagine, you know, that scene in Halloween Kills when they get the whole town to like mob Michael Myers.
And he's getting like shot, stabbed, and he's still just like standing.
That's my one thing I hated about that.
They made him so superhuman.
Yeah. It was like, I actually, the first movie cemented him as like just a guy. Mm-hmm. Right, like he's was just a guy. He was in prison, or I'm sorry, he was in the asylum, and like all that. And it was like, okay, yeah, he's just a dude that's fueled on hate and stuff. And then the next one, he's just like he's Jason all of a sudden. Yeah, like that kind of sucks. I didn't really like that take. It's like you focus so much on the psychological aspect in the previous movie that then all of a sudden you just make him supernatural. I don't know. It didn't make sense to me.
Yeah. He would survive anything basically.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know. Not my thing. Well, certain Algonquin people have put on a special ceremony during times of hunger that is meant to ward off the evil Wendigo. Sounds cool. The ceremony has a name, but good Lord, I would butcher the hell out of the name. But screw it. We're going to try it anyway. It is the Wendigo Kanzhimawan.
Close enough.
The ceremony required members to wear masks while dancing backwards around a drum. The last recorded time the Wendigo ritualistic dance occurred was on the Leech Lake Indian Reservation in northern Minnesota. That's not all. The place they actually performed the ceremony is at a place literally called Lake Wendigo. I found that so strange when I read it because it's like this is an evil creature that eats human beings and children. That's kind of like if we named a lake Geen or some shit. Lake Dahmer. Isn't that? It's kind of the same shit.
Yeah.
It's a bit strange. So
you're like almost idolizing them by naming it something related to the bad things.
Exactly. Because again, now if you came out with something and it was like Lake Bigfoot.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, for sure. Like, that's cool. Because it's like, it's a mythical creature. Lake Mothman. Yeah. I'd be like, okay, that's cool. It's a mythical creature. Yeah. Even if we came out with like Lake Freddy Krueger, I'd be like, that's fucking sick. Hell, like Lake Ghostface or some shit. But no, you have Lake Wendigo, which for the longest time actually was considered to be like a real thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a bit weird.
Yeah.
If the Wendigo is only believed upon by certain Native American cultures, odds are we wouldn't be talking about it today. But believe it or not, other cultures had supposed encounters with the creature. I want to take a look at France. There's a series of chronicles known as the Jesuit Relations that was written and printed annually. These chronicles began in 1632 and ended in 1673 and described the missions that were occurring in New France, which covered a lot of Ontario, Canada. The specific version of the Jesuit Relations we'll be looking at is a passage from the 1661 publication. Here it is. What caused us greater concern was the news that met us upon entering the lake, namely that the men deputed by our conductor for the purpose of summoning the nations to the North Sea and assigning them a rendezvous where they were to await our coming, had met their death the previous winter in a very strange manner. Those poor men, according to the report given to us, were seized with an ailment unknown to us, but not very unusual among the people we were seeking. So basically, they're like, these guys died in very weird ways, but the Algonquin people they met were like, no, dude, that shit just happens. So that's pretty crazy.
Casually.
Yeah. They are afflicted with neither lunacy, hypochondria, nor frenzy, but have a combination of all these species of disease, which affects their imaginations that causes them a more than canine hunger. This makes them so ravenous for human flesh that they pounce upon women, children, and even upon men, like veritable werewolves, and devour them voraciously, without being able to appease or glut their appetite, ever seeking fresh prey, and the more greedily, the more they eat. This ailment attacked our deputies, and as death is the sole remedy among those simple people for checking such acts of murder, they were slain in order to stay the course of their madness. That's like a French publication, like a legit thing.
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
Yeah. So.
Slain.
Well, no, the whole point is like everything we just talked about, that's what they saw their guys do.
Cannibalism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's some pretty wild shit, right? It is believed
that was back in the 16th century, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was long, long ago. This is published work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right? Like, you could read it.
Yeah.
And you probably were like, what's going on in this French area?
Yeah.
Canada's a weird place.
What the heck?
So, we love Canada, but we do have Canadian fans. Some crazy stuff's going on up there.
So it is believed that these men were speaking of the Wendigo. But the thing that is so different from the Jesuit Relations telling of the creature is that it sounds more like a possession or a virus than an actual creature. This is actually agreed upon by certain Native American people as well. In most cases, this psychosis possession, the one infected is killed in order for it to not spread. But the Cree had a different idea. It is said that you must feed the infected with making them eat fatty animal meats or make them drink animal grease. Apparently, if they succeed in cleansing the infected person, then the individual would vomit ice, showing that they were cleansed.
Wild story. This just sounds like a zombie, though.
It is crazy. Well,
like,
it just makes you mad. Like, it makes you just insane.
It's kind of the 28 Days Later zombie. It's madness and anger. And they're like,
yeah, the rage virus.
They look to infect, not these look to eat, but it's some type of zombie is what it kind of seems like, which is interesting.
Interesting comparison. So,
the zombie crackhead, dude.
So believe it or not, this psychosis possession thing became a raging phenomenon. Not kidding. So there were a few instances that are documented that we'll go over. For starters, there was an OG Cree chief in the late 1800s. He was also a medicine man and was known among his people for his powers that would help him defeat Wendigos. Apparently, he was like famous for it. So when it comes to the psychosis possession cases, though, as I mentioned before, certain individuals would have to be killed to keep it from spreading. And basically, this guy's name was Jack. And he attempted to get to this point, like to not get to that point where, he would have to kill people. But there were certain cases where he had no choice. So because of this, Jack, the chief, and his brother Joseph were arrested by Canadian police in 1907. The charge was homicide, as they were forced to kill a man who was sick with psychosis possession. And then Jack actually, unfortunately, committed suicide before he went to prison. Joseph, on the other hand, was sentenced to life in prison, but was eventually pardoned. The sad thing is, though, Joseph died 3 days into his jail sentence just before receiving news of his pardon.
Damn, that's quite unfortunate.
Yeah, so that's interesting. It's like one society kind of, I don't know if you call it society, civilization. Would you call it civilization?
Well, to be pardoned, they must have believed something, right?
I'm saying like they were, they had their tribe and stuff, but then civilization came in and basically took this murdering, well, what they thought was a cleansing.
Yeah.
And they basically, society said, no, you're murdering people. Mm-hmm. We have to like take you in.
Right.
That kind of sucks. Like if this was a legit thing and you spent your entire life like cleaning or cleansing people who were like sick with Wendigo stuff.
The infection.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be all of a sudden you're just like, yep, we got to take you in. This is murder. And you're like, what?
Yeah, that'd be suck.
Like, this guy was mad. Like,
I know.
It's a person.
Yeah. So that one's okay. But this next one is apparently one of the most famous of Wendigo psychosis cases ever reported. You ready? This one is pretty wild. I'm not going to lie. I remember this. A Cree trapper named Swift Runner from Alberta and his family were starving. It was 1878, and the winter hit hard that year. Sadly, Swift Runner's oldest son died due to starvation. The only food that they were close to was 25 miles away at the Hudson's Bay Company trading post. There sat a shit ton of emergency food and supplies, but between Swift Runner's family and the abundance of food sat 25 miles of blinding, blizzarding snow away, drifts that reached too high to walk through and wind blowing too hard to see anything at all. And sadly, due to this, Swift Runner murdered and ate his wife and 5 other children. So,
Jesus.
When he was caught, it was believed that instead of a case of survival, Swift Runner was believed to be under the influence of Wendigo psychosis. And while
Wendigo fever.
When I said that, Soul just stared at me and he's just looking at me. What are you, a little Wendigo? What's going on, bud? It was so strange.
He's got the fever.
Anyway, got some Wendigo psychosis, buddy? I know. Okay. Anyway, so while other Native Americans believed that it was, in fact, that Canadian authorities had different thoughts. So while they believed that it was the Wendigo psychosis, the authorities were like, no, he's just a crazy person. So they arrested Swift Runner and brought him to Saskatchewan, where he confessed and was executed by authorities.
He confessed.
He did. He confessed.
Interesting.
But also, if you were sick with it and you ate your family, and you're not like sick anymore because you ate or whatever enough, you'd probably be like,
do you like remember? Or you're just like kind of like blacked out.
I don't know, but apparently, yeah, that case is pretty big. When
that's crazy though.
I know.
Yeah, my first like initial reaction and kind of thought was maybe it was for survival because of the snow, but then like. Your whole family?
Yeah.
5 children and
5
your wife?
kids and your wife. Dude. Yikes.
That's some insane shit.
That is some insane shit. So events like these sparked debate among Western psychologists, anthropologists, and ethnographers. In the 1980s, many debated the historical facts of these cases. Some argued that these cases were just people who went mad, while others argued the evidence was too strong to not call it an actual fact. So, if it was such a big deal, why don't we hear about it anymore? That is because in the 20th century, the Algonquin people began having more contact with European and American societies. This caused a lot of them to abandon their ritualistic ideologies due to societal changes. But can you imagine if it was agreed upon by everyone that this was a thing? You're just feeling sick one day and somebody's like, oh yeah, the Wendigo got you. That'd be some crazy shit.
That it would. It's like the flu at this point, right?
So what's even crazier is that there's this thing called the ICD, and that stands for the International Classification of Diseases and Health-Related Problems. This is essentially like a recording of all real diseases, like the flu is in there, COVID's in there, strep throat is in there. But you know what else was in there? Wendigo psychosis. It actually was in the ICD. It's described as a cultural specific disorder.
Still?
Yeah. Which means it was an actual thing. So here's what it actually says about it. Rare historic accounts of cannibalistic obsession symptoms included depression, homicidal or suicidal thoughts, and a delusional compulsive wish to eat human flesh. Some controversial studies question the syndrome's legitimacy, claiming cases were actually a product of hostile accusations invented to justify the victim's ostration or execution. Pretty wild. So, yeah, I think it's in like the...
But they wouldn't classify just any cannibal with Wendigo psychosis.
No, it would have to. You'd have to have like different symptoms and stuff, which is so crazy that it was at one point in time an actual legitimate disease.
Like you have the psychologist coming in to like a Dahmer type person evaluating. He's like, yeah, no, this guy's not mad. He just likes to eat people.
He's got Wendigo psychosis. You'd be like, oh shit. Imagine you go to the doctor. You're like, damn doc, I'm not really feeling too great. And they're like, all right, let me do some tests. And they're like, they sit you down. You know, this isn't easy. You're like, what doc? And they're like, you got Wendigo psychosis. You're going to start wanting to eat a lot of people. It'd be fucking crazy.
It's like, you need to hold on.
This shit would be crazy.
Restrain yourself.
Or it's the other side of that story.
You're putting restraints like every night.
Yeah, maybe like the doc is like, okay, I got some antibiotics here for you, but like he's like talking to the dude and then he just like does a snap and then all of a sudden like two guys come in and put you in a straitjacket, bind you down. That's a Wendigo. No, but how crazy is that, man? So yeah, I don't think it's like, it's not in there right now as like a classified disease, but it was like in there as a like former disease or something, or however
that's so wild.
Culture specific disorder. So pretty crazy. So that's what I meant earlier when I said that it was
like factual,
because at one point it was believed that it was an actual thing.
It was a true disease. Yeah. Wild.
Crazy. So.
Yeah, that's so much more different than, you know, the described folklore aspect of it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this is just people with cannibalistic temptations, right? And insane. Whereas the other one is like, no, this is like something that just eats and feeds and then sheds all of it and then does it again and again. It's like kind of wild.
It is
like huge, completely different spectrum there.
Oh, I think it's cool because it's like this at one point was like rooted in fact. And I think that what's kind of cool is that it's like the only thing we've come across so far that's actually like, even though it's not anymore, used to be factual. Like it was so real and it happened so often that it was a factual thing.
So is the reason it's non-factual anymore is because it's technically not a like disease classification anymore?
So it's a cultural thing. Yeah. So it's like now we know that people who eat people just to eat people because they're weird.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with like the Wendigo. It's just you're actually just a freak.
Yeah.
So there's that. But it's cool because it's like, we don't even know like if Bigfoot exists, and then all of a sudden, like that's not like a scientific fact. It's not like a creature. Mm-hmm. It's like UFOs. Those are always like, even though I personally think like they fully exist and like 100%, it's still not agreed upon by every scientist out there that they're actually like a thing. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So
there's not like 100% proven. Here's the actual factual evidence.
But this was, which I think is this. That's why this is pretty interesting. So.
Yeah. Crazy story.
That is pretty much it for the history of the creature and stuff. So what do you think?
It's wild.
Yeah.
Madness strikes. Watch out for cannibals out there. No, it's just it's actually fascinating. I didn't actually know how rooted it was in terms of like factual madness.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Right. Yeah, interesting.
Not cool to have it, but cool to learn about it.
Yeah. I don't know. So what do you guys think?
Stay learning every day. That's what you do.
Pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, no, that's wild.
So our last little chapter here is pop culture.
How did it impact today?
Pretty much. So though the being is described as a skinny, human-looking individual that grows in size, the being has morphed into a more disturbing creature. From novels that were published throughout the 1900s to even video games like Fallout and Until Dawn, the Wendigo has turned into something of a pop culture icon. Looking at movies like Antlers, Wendigos are shown to be what they have evolved into now, which are creatures that that are massive in size, have large antlers protruding from their deer or elk skeleton head. It almost looks like the beast is a combination of a bunch of different animals, humans, and that truly makes it look like a monstrosity.
Interesting. I've never actually seen Antlers.
You haven't seen Antlers?
No. I know you and my brother went to see it, and you guys didn't like it.
Josh hated it.
Yeah.
I thought it was okay. I wish it was better. I loved the setting. The creature design was really cool, but it was kind of slow. But it is worth a watch. Definitely worth a watch. Maybe like on a cold fall night or something. I'll be like, Jake, turn this shit on.
Probably be like, we have to buy it though.
I don't know. I'm sure that's on some kind of streaming thing. So for our visual listeners, like our visual watchers,
you always say that.
I don't know, dude. I want to put up
visual viewers.
Visual viewers, thank you. I want to put up a side-by-side comparison of the creature from what it was to what it has become. So, we'll just put them up right here.
Insert those.
Right here. Okay. So the one on the left, which will be the skinny one, this one right here, the one closest to Jake, is from Until Dawn, a video game that came out in 2015, and it shows a pretty accurate depiction of what the Wendigo actually was. Now, the one on the right by me has kind of become the norm when it comes to Wendigo designs. This is the new evolution of the creature. Personally, I think it's a pretty sick design. I'm going to show Jake. That's Until Dawn. Like, that's what the Wendigo kind of looks like.
Yeah.
And then here's like the new thing, which I think that's fucking badass.
Interesting.
Right?
Wild.
Isn't that so much
Huge
cooler?
ass antlers.
Yeah, dude, it's so much cooler. So, anywho.
Hope you guys enjoyed that episode.
Yeah, that's our episode today, folks.
Yeah.
Nice, short and sweet.
Short and sweet.
So anyway, if you've experienced anything that has to do with Wendigos, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you have a story to tell,
send that in.
Send it. Maybe we can, we'll tell it on the pod. We've done it before. So, if you guys want to be part of our episodes, let us know.
We love fan submission episodes.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Because your stories are amazing.
Yeah, everybody's kind of experienced something else. Like, we all have different experiences when it comes to these kind of things. So it's always nice to hear somebody else's take on stuff. So let us know. Also, if I butchered any of those words, sorry about that. I apologize. Really tried my best.
Roast them in the comments. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of you do. So that's what it is. Yeah. Anyway.
But we will be back next week for another episode. So we'll see you then.
Yep. Thank you all for listening. And we hope to see you next episode of the Supernaturals.
Yep.
And we'll see you around the graveyard.
Stay safe out there.
Thanks for listening to this chilling episode of the Supernaturals. For your protection, make sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. And stay tuned for the next episode.